Trapping feels pretty old school to me. I feel more nostalgic about that as far as like the way things used to be.
Banding animals, learning where their habitats are, trapping them to move them if need be, remove them from situations that could be harmful to humans or themselves.
Well, when I think of trapping, I think of inhumane, something hurting an animal.
I picture it mostly from like movies where like a bear or like some like large animal gets their like paw cut in this trap or caught in this trap, and it seems very sad.
For many people, trapping and the use of fur is a controversial issue, often because the conversation is shaped by misunderstanding or misinformation. This video offers a clear, factual look at what trapping truly means for wildlife and the communities who coexist with it. Trapping is carefully regulated by state fish and wildlife agencies, where trained professionals work every day to conserve wildlife populations and ensure that these practices are conducted responsibly, humanely, and sustainably. Laura Palmer is a wildlife biologist for the Kentucky Department of Wildlife Resources.
I'm often asked how someone who cares so deeply about wildlife can also support trapping. Over the years, I've realized that many of these questions stem from a few common misconceptions. First, some people believe that trapping puts wildlife populations at risk and can even cause wildlife to become endangered. Second, there's a perception that anyone can simply go out and trap animals without rules or oversight. Third, many assume that trapping benefits only the individuals who participate in it. And fourth, people think that animals captured in traps all get injured. These beliefs are understandable, but they're not accurate, and addressing them is an important part of helping people understand the role trapping plays in modern wildlife conservation.
I do think wild animal populations need to be managed or should be managed as long as it's backed by science and, the people making those decisions have a deep knowledge, understanding, and expertise in wildlife management and biology and ecology and things like that.
Many people believe that hunting and trapping cause wildlife populations to decline, but that simply isn't the case. Thanks to modern wildlife management, many of the species that we hunt and trap in Wisconsin and in states across the country are actually more abundant today than they were even 50 or 100 years ago. These activities are carefully regulated and grounded in sound science, ensuring healthy, sustainable wildlife populations for generations to come. Many of the species that we hunt and trap in Wisconsin, their populations are higher than they were 50 or 100 years ago. A couple examples here in Wisconsin are populations of bobcat, fisher, and river otter that have expanded across the state.
The Wildlife Society is an organization of professional wildlife scientists and wildlife managers and educators. Gordon Batchelor is a certified wildlife biologist in New York State and past president of the Wildlife Society.
The Wildlife Society recognizes trapping as an effective and humane tool for wildlife management. As a wildlife biologist, my foremost responsibility is the health and welfare of wildlife populations. With today's science-based regulations, there is no risk that trapping could threaten any species. In fact, most wildlife populations produce more young each year than their habitat can naturally support. Trapping provides a responsible way to manage those surplus animals, much like natural processes would, while helping maintain healthy and balanced populations and ecosystems.
Agencies care deeply about the welfare of wildlife and animals that we manage. That's why trapping is so carefully regulated. We license participants, we provide education and training programs, we ensure that trappers understand the responsibility that comes with this activity. Our regulations cover season timing, season length, bag limits, those type of things, each designed to align with the biological cycles of the species. And for example, hunting and trapping seasons are not generally set during a period of time when the animals are raising their young early in the year. Agencies also invest significant time and resources every year to improve trapping and the tools and techniques, ensuring that the work is carried out responsibly, effectively, and with the highest regard to animal welfare.
Ensuring wildlife is managed responsibly also means continually improving the tools and methods we use. One of the most important efforts supporting humane, science-based trapping is led by the Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies' Best Management Practices for Trapping program, known as BMPs.
Since 1997, the Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies has led the world's largest research program on trapping. We call it the Best Management Practices for Trapping, or BMP program. Working with wildlife biologists, wildlife veterinarians, and expert trappers, we've tested all types of traps to ensure that they meet strict scientific standards for animal welfare for 23 species of fur bearers. In fact, those welfare standards were developed in conjunction with the International Organization for Standardization, which is widely recognized as the most authoritative standard-setting body in the world. We also evaluate traps based on safety, selectivity, efficiency, and practicality, because all of those aspects of trap performance are critically important. A major goal of the BMP program is to identify the most humane and effective traps for managing all fur bearer species and help ensure that modern regulated trapping is safe, responsible, and sustainable. And not only are we doing the research, but we're also educating the trapping community about the BMP program and the best traps to use. That helps improve trapping overall, and that's what this program is ultimately about.
Animal welfare is at the center of the best management practices for trapping program. That's why wildlife veterinarians play a critical role bringing medical expertise, independent evaluation, and a focus on welfare to every step of the research. Their involvement helps ensure trapping methods are evaluated rigorously, ethically, and with the highest standards of care. Lindsay Long is a wildlife veterinarian with the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources.
As a wildlife veterinarian, part of my job is ensuring that animal health and welfare are integrated into state fish and wildlife agencies. As agency staff, we care a lot about wildlife, and one of our jobs is to ensure that animal welfare is considered in our management decisions. Trapping is an extension of that process. Agencies use trapping for a lot of different purposes, not just for harvest, and we want to make sure we can capture animals humanely. That is why I am involved with the Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies Best Management Practices for Trapping program, along with a number of other wildlife veterinarians from across the country. I've assessed hundreds of trapped animals using international standards to evaluate animal welfare. Traps that meet these standards keep injury to a minimum, so live captured animals can be released healthy and unharmed. This scientific process ensures that modern, regulated trapping is humane. That is something agencies support.
Trapping devices are designed for two main functions. On the one hand, as live restraining devices to capture animals alive, and on the other, as lethal devices that capture and kill animals quickly. Live restraining devices consist of cage traps, foothold traps, and cable restraint devices, and they're designed to catch the animal alive and unharmed. They're used by researchers, those resolving human-wildlife conflicts, and fur harvesters alike. If they capture a non-target animal or an animal they didn't intend to catch, they can actually release that animal. Lethal traps are sometimes used by those same individuals, traps that we call body gripping traps, and these traps kill the animal quickly, somewhat like a mouse trap that most people are familiar with.
Wildlife agencies regulate every aspect of trapping to ensure it's conducted safely and responsibly. This includes setting standards for trap size, allowable trap types, and even specifying where traps may be placed. Agencies also conduct continuous monitoring and research so that management decisions are grounded in the best available science. Much of this information comes from harvest data reported by trappers, along with population surveys and field studies conducted by agency biologists. Together, these data points provide a clear picture of population health and support science-based regulations that protect both wildlife and the public interest.
I don't have an issue with people using animals for food or for clothing as long as they are not depleting the species.
I'd be a hypocrite if I said I was against it, because I have shoes with leather in them. I have bags that I carry that have leather, coats.
I have leather boots. I have a leather jacket.
I don't own a ton of leather necessarily, but if I know that something is an animal product, I really put an emphasis on it being fair trade or more sustainable or ethically sourced. That's kind of what I look for.
Some individuals hold an animal rights philosophy, which views animals as having rights equivalent to those of people and therefore oppose the use of animals for food, clothing, or in some cases even basic pest management. Wildlife agencies operate under a different framework or premise. We follow science-based conservation philosophy that recognizes wildlife as renewable natural resources that can be managed responsibly and sustainably used. When guided by rigorous research, ethical standards, and careful regulations, wildlife management including the lawful use of animals, provides important ecological, cultural, and societal benefits to the public.
I believe humans do have a responsibility to manage wildlife populations, mainly because we have moved into their territory over generations and they didn't ask for us to come and invade their habitats. And so in order for us to coexist, I do think steps probably should be taken to make sure that the balance remains.
Human activity has caused a lot of good for humans, a lot of good for some animals, and we're causing a lot of problems for others, and whatever we can do to sort of restore that balance is the right thing to do.
Trapping doesn't control populations all of the time or prevent all types of damage, but trapping can be an important tool in managing wildlife in a responsible way for the benefit of people and wildlife.
Knowing what I know about responsible and modern trapping techniques and relocation techniques, I do support the trapping and relocation of wild animals, again, not only for the animal's sake, but for our sake.
Trapping not only plays a key role in maintaining healthy wildlife populations, but can be critical to restoring wildlife and to protecting endangered species. The restoration of river otters in many states is a perfect example. These otters were trapped in Louisiana, where they're abundant, and relocated to Illinois. This project was funded in part by fees paid by hunters and trappers. The otters being released here were captured with the same foothold traps used by trappers. Trapping also is used to reduce predators that prey on endangered species, such as the least tern and the piping plover.
I think the main goals of wildlife management should be balance and making sure that the steps taken support both a healthy environment, a healthy population of a certain animal or a certain species, as well as making sure it doesn't start creating negative implications.
Managing our nation's wildlife is an important and complex task. The state wildlife agencies charged with this responsibility respect all points of view. These agencies support trapping because trapping is critical to proper management for the benefit of both wildlife and people.
There are certainly misconceptions about regulated trapping and the conservation programs that support it, and it's our responsibility to help the public understand how these systems actually work. When implemented through science-based regulations, trapping provides meaningful benefits for both wildlife and people, and the balance is needed between them. Public understanding is essential because when communities recognize how these practices contribute to healthy ecosystems and sustainable wildlife populations, we're better able to ensure the benefits endure for future generations. And ultimately, that's the goal of our work.